start by saying that this is a beautifully written book and carefully structured and is based on and draws from a very impressive empirical body of work. Because alongside a valuable historical account of the development and operation of community courts in Mozambique, it draws on focus groups with 150 judges involved in the community courts in Maputo and participant observation of 21 courts. Now, for any of us in the room who do empirical work, we know exactly how significant that that data set is, and how hard and how careful it is to get access, maintain access, build the relationships that clearly inform the argument that you've just presented to us. So just to recognize that. And I think it was really in chapter 4, which is on the framing and functioning of the community courts in Maputo, that I really felt the strength of this empirical work came to the fore. And I hope we can pick up on that in the discussion that we're having today. Because at the heart of the book, Professor Lorizzo argues that the community courts can and should deal with what she terms petty criminal matters, namely those relating to theft and minor assault, including within domestic settings. You argue that the community courts offer a more cost-effective justice response that allow for greater efficacy in dealing with cases due, at least in part, to the proximity of the court to the affected community, deepening the decision-maker's understanding of the dispute. So in chapter 4, what I think you do is you give us this really important account of a case involving the theft of a phone by a young man, and how the courts were able to understand the wider family dynamics that explained the theft, including his mother's death, economic marginalization of the family generally, and his grandmother's estrangement from other family members. And I think this then enabled the community court to offer a non-carceral sentence that required continued reporting to the court, but included connecting the young man into community-led projects. Now, I think in this example, we see localized dispute resolution at its best in the criminal domain, a move away from the carceral drive that has so dominated criminal law. And this is very clearly an important move, and I think you make that case persuasively. And it's on this basis that you propose that community courts, that the criminal jurisdiction within community courts should be enhanced, with the normative claim that this not only increases access to justice, but also ameliorates overcrowding in prisons.
I think it strikes at the heart of some of the most challenging aspects of actually honoring pluralism in practice. And that for me is a kind of a key theme that really comes across in the book, is that what Tina is investigating, what she's seeking to unpack here, is what does it actually mean to honor, really honor, legal pluralism in practice when it comes to the experiences of people, where they live, how they live, and particularly from that lens of what access to justice can look like in a truly pluralistic society. And I think that when the rubber meets the road, when pluralism meets real life, is when it really throws up the kinds of interesting questions that are being unpacked here. I also think that the book does a really fantastic job of engaging with an aspect of conversation that I think we're not engaging with enough. And that's this kind of relationship between the legacies of colonial rule and how those legacies are carried into the current day and present day context. And so the book does a fantastic kind of, more than a timeline, but it does a kind of a long look at the influence of colonial law in the Mozambican justice system and how that continuation carries into and influences the current context, which I think, particularly when you're engaging with pluralistic questions, societies, is a massive question and really is one that strikes at the heart of a lot of the work that my unit does, but I think strikes at the heart again of how it is that you can actually actualize pluralism. And so it's really exciting to see that come across. I also, and I hope you take this as a compliment, but I think that what also came across for me in the book is that it's a work of passion. And I know that in academic spaces that might be not flattering. But, but what I mean by that is you're writing about a subject matter that matters to you. And that really does come through in the book. It's clear that you have spent a large part of your career thinking about these issues, working on these issues, grappling with the kind of everyday implications of the limitations of access to justice in the Mozambican context, you know, considering what it looks like when people have limited options they can't access for a variety of reasons, and what the knock-on effects of that are. And so it's really clear that the book is steeped in incredible expertise on your part, but also incredible care, that this is a kind of an area of work that matters to you. And I think it's important that that comes through in the book, because, you know, if we're talking about post-colonial scholarship, positionality matters too, right? And so for those of us who write as an other, right, I think it is important to be writing in a way that is sensitive and cognizant that what you're writing about, you know, are other people's lives, and to do so in a way that shows that you're approaching it from a place of care rather than from a place of kind of scientific curiosity. And I just wanted to commend you on being able to do that in the book.
The book aimed at showing that there is a struggle for criminal justice in Mozambique that needs to be fought. Showing that the formal criminal justice system is responsible for many injustices suffered by most vulnerable people of society. And the justice delayed is a justice denied. An expensive justice is unjust. A legal system that is incomprehensible to its subject through language and jargon cannot function properly, and is unjust. So the imposition of prison sentences that respect only the law and do not consider the various factors that may have caused and precipitated the commission of a crime is unjust. And imprisonment is unjust if the factors that caused and precipitated the commission of a crime are not addressed during incarceration, and the person who served the sentence is found to re-enter society in a worse situation than when he or she entered prison.
You know, who exactly we incarcerate again, and do these people really understand the system that incarcerate them, and is actually giving them the opportunity to come from the incarceration down better off than before, and what exactly do we really need? What is exactly justice? No, is justice only prison? Is justice, because, you know, while I've been working, what I see is that most of the time justice means prison. And if the judge has imprisoned the person, that is the justice. And they want to know how many years. Because more years is in prison, more justice is felt that has been made. While I don't think that is the case, actually, you know, the opposite. So Tulufuno is difficult. I'm sure it's, yeah, but we will need to have hope that this is actually happen. Yeah.
Well, that seems like a very good moment for us to draw this very rich conversation to an end. And thank you, Professor Lorizzo, for coming, and congratulations on the book. The final statement at any book launch has to be: read the book, get your libraries to buy the book if you can. And thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.